Hi, everybody. This is Lior from Israel. I'm going to share with you my presentation today about augmented intelligence, and we're going to start rolling in a second. So, augmented intelligence, everybody. So, augmented intelligence is one of the biggest terms that creates a misconception. Augmented sounds like augmented reality. Intelligence, it's usually everything that is related to artificial intelligence. So how actually does it work? What is it, augmented intelligence? Why it's relevant to you? Why do you need to know even what's augmented intelligence? And we're going to start doing it in really kind of a short timeline. We have 15 minutes, so let's get it going. First of all, about myself and why you even need to listen me out, and why do you think that I know anything about anything. So first of all, my name is Lior Romanowsky. I'm from Jerusalem originally, from Tel Aviv now, 33 years old. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Spartans, a company that does a lot of things in the worlds of artificial intelligence and augmented reality. We are a product company that both works with really large companies as enterprise companies all over the world, startup companies that raise capital, and we are helping them out with technological IP. And also create our own products, especially in the field of B2B SaaS. I'm a serial entrepreneur, which means that I started at the age of 16. Since 16, I had 4 or 5 companies, depending on how you count it. And I have my fair share of military services. As you know, that in Israel, we all go to the military at the age of 18, or most of us. So 5 years in the Israeli Air Force. I'm a problem solver. This is what I do. This is what I love. I love problems, I love tackling them, and basically that's about that. And I love hummus, so just a small thing about myself. Let's get it going. So first of all, what is the base? So the base for all of our conversation is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is really the buzzword that everybody's talking about in the last, I don't know, couple of years. But 2020, you see that it's like booming, it's everywhere. Companies are raising money just by spitting the name of artificial intelligence. And every company seeks for some connection to artificial intelligence, how they can do AI, how they can connect it to what they're doing, and so on. And in most cases, unfortunately, it's only a buzzword. It's not really kind of part of the offering. And what you see that even companies that claim they have artificial intelligence, in most cases, it's automation, and worst cases, just pure algorithmics and nothing behind it. In the world of artificial intelligence, you can think about it as a tree of capabilities that we have a goal of that the AI or the computing power will conduct processes like humans, like replicating things that humans did before. Let's do it with machines and computers. What you see here is actually 3 layers. There are more. But the first layer is, of course, the concept of artificial intelligence. Under that, we have one of the branches is machine learning, which you hear a lot about, basically taking a lot of data, knowledge, and training the computer to do something. And we have deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning, and deep learning goes deep. So I won't go into the technicalities of it, but basically, that's something that allows us to do much more complex things and much more sophisticated things, and that's the base. So first of all, a cool fact, artificial intelligence technology can enhance business productivity by up to 30%. That's by Accenture. Accenture, great guys, very smart, but from our experience, it actually varies. It varies a lot. There's no one number, and it really depends on the business case, which means what kind of problem you're solving. And from our experience, when we work with large companies, small companies, it doesn't really matter. We first of all try to understand which business problem we are tackling here, how big it is, and what kind of revenue ROI we want to generate here. So solving a specific problem could generate significantly more funds, a bit more funds, but it also depends on the importance to the organization and to the industry that you are solving. The second cool fact is that Netflix, for example, saved $1 billion by using machine learning. For example, as you probably know, I don't know if you have a Netflix account, I know that I do, and they give you all kind of recommendations. And not only they give you recommendations, they also create content by how people actually interacting with their system. So they have like internal systems that create recommendations for what to create, what kind of shows will actually be successful. And that, as you can understand, is really reducing the risk of developing a concept or developing a series that nobody would watch. Yes, they still have fuck-ups as everybody, and they have series and shows and movies that nobody watches or not as successful that they assume, but it still reduces the risk significantly. And that number is already from 2018, if I remember correctly. I'm sure that they're making and saving much more money already now from artificial intelligence. And let's talk about augmented intelligence, right? This is why we are for it here. So first of all, augmented intelligence, it has nothing to do with augmented reality. I love augmented reality, I love intelligence, but let's take a look at this concept of augmented intelligence. If we are looking at augmented intelligence, let's read it together. Augmented intelligence is a design pattern, okay? Design pattern for a human-centered partnership model of people and artificial intelligence working together. What is our goal? Enhance the cognitive performance, including learning, decision-making, and new experiences. What does it actually means? That instead of trying to replace human beings by saying, oh, okay, let's create a module or some sophisticated AI that will do your job for you, we are creating basically something that helps human beings and interacts fluidly with how the human beings are interacting with what I created. Okay? And we'll see a couple of examples in a couple of minutes, but it's really important to understand. When we're talking about the augmented intelligence, yeah, of course, there is like a little bit of different process, and the steps that are a bit different when you're developing it and when you create the architecture, but the core is pretty much the same. It is artificial intelligence. Which brings me to the next slide. Isn't it just artificial intelligence? Well, yes or no. So first of all, of course, as we saw, yes, it is related directly to artificial intelligence. It is artificial intelligence. But we're talking about here about a design process, about a concept, and what is important to know here, but it's a point of view. It's not replacing, but empowering humans. It's trying to mimic the process in the human brain. What is the process in the human brain, which is the most sophisticated machine by far that we have, right? Just think about a baby. Okay, in the end, when you look at a baby, you can really be amazed, because this small human being, in a matter of a couple of months, is learning more and more and evolving. So you can really kind of look at it as some sort of AI, right? Human AI. And here, what we're talking about is specifically the process in the human brain. The human brain learns from experiencing, right? So for example, when a kid is trying to touch something that is hot, he or she will get burned and they won't do it again. So it's trial and error. Same thing goes for the augmented intelligence, which means that first of all, we see all the time we are using prehistoric or historic information. It's basically our data set. We are showing the artificial intelligence, okay, this is what we have right now. The experience can come from humans. It can be structured, not structured. And in the end, we create like a subset of, not subset, but a data set that used by AI to create some value to human beings. What kind of value? We will see a couple of examples in a minute. But what is important to note here that the mimicking is really about the process, right? So we have our experience, we are trying new things, and we learn and we adapt. We learn, we adapt. And basically, this is exactly the process that the augmented intelligence is doing. So we are trying new things, we're experimenting, we're learning more things that goes to our data set or brain. And in the end, we are getting better. We are getting better results. And what you're gonna see in the couple of examples that I will be showing you is that here in those examples, the AI brings value, but it does not replace entirely the human being, which means the human being is still in the process. He's still a decision maker. He's still affecting directly, and he's the biggest pawn or the biggest element that is inside the process. But the AI supports it very nicely. And let's maybe continue there. So before we do go to the examples, just to show you a little bit the forecast. So as you can see, this is like a forecast that was created by Gartner in 2017. And you can see that in the column, the darker column, which is the largest, the tallest one, we can see that actually it's decision support augmentation. And why basically this is actually the largest section. First of all, there's a lot of companies that full replacement is not really an option. Okay, because complexity, because of different reasons, humanitarian reasons, reasons of personality. There's a lot of reasons why not fully replace human beings. On the contrary, there are like a lot of positions that will be replaced fully by artificial intelligence, and that okay. But as you can see, the majority and the biggest growth that will be up to 44% in 2030 is the decision support augmentation. Basically, technology, AI, that makes us as humans better, smarter, or more successful with what we got and what we have. And let's go to our examples. So I'm going to show you 4 examples, and the goal is really to create a diverse world of examples to explain like why it's a good example, what it actually gives us. We're going to start with actually one of our products. We have a product called Jenna. Jenna is an automation AI system or platform that helps companies all over the world to screen candidates faster by conversing with them, which means that instead of just asking for a CV and trying to understand from the CV who is a good candidate or not, we are conducting a conversation, if it's textual or audio based, like voice. And through this conversation, we really can understand a lot of elements in the human being, both professional and personality-wise, that allow us to build a score. The purpose of this process, which is totally automated, is to shorten the time span that the human recruiter or whoever it is, if it's an HR manager, even sometimes the CEO or the head of R&D that are looking into the candidates, not to waste time on candidates that are not a good fit, and also to give the recruiter, again, whoever she is, basically to get the best decision for the company. The best decision for the company is actually to get the best candidates that will be a perfect fit for the position. And Jenna is helping them by creating artificial intelligence-based scoring system, and also, of course, the filtering and all kind of backend process that we're doing, to help them really to make the best decision for the company. And all the scoring and all the recommendations are based on, first of all, historic information, which means that we are getting historic information from the company, and also what they're telling us actively that they're looking for. And as we go, and this is an important part, as we go and they are basically giving us feedback. And as you can see, I don't know if you see my mouse, but you can see thumbs up, thumbs down. This is the feedback we're getting from the humans, the human recruiter. So the human recruiter not only can use the inputs from Jenna, but he can also give inputs to Jenna. And this is an important thing to note about augmented intelligence. The second example that I want to show you is a pretty famous one. We all probably most of you are using Gmail or saw at least the interface of Gmail. And not so long ago, a couple of years ago, they started basically experimenting with recommendations for replies. Now you would say, oh yeah, it's a full automation. Well, not really, because in the end, first of all, yes, it's of course built on tons of historical data of different conversations, and really there's like a semantic check here, and they're trying to understand the different topics that are discussed, and their goal is to recommend you the most relevant response to the content of the email. And as you can see here, basically the decision making is still yours as a human being. So you would ask, okay, so where is the feedback here? How do the human gives us feedback directly to Gmail back, right? Because we said that the human interaction with the solution is critical. So the interaction here is actually by pressing or not pressing. So if you, first of all, didn't press anything and you just use the open text, you just wrote with the whatever it is. So that's an indication that they didn't manage to give you a good recommendation. Or vice versa, if you press something, that's empowerment. That's like a good sign for the algorithm that, wow, okay, yeah, we are on the right path. The third one is another system that was developed by Spartans. It's basically a product called IVA in the world of home care. I will be very short just to explain here. So first of all, it's all about coordination. In the world of home care, there are two separate groups or two biggest players, which are caregivers, people that are giving the caring, that are caring for the patients. And on the other side, we have basically the patient itself, but every patient have a set of needs and wants and basically looking for something. So what we see here is actually a part of a system that does the coordination. There are different components of AI inside the system, but I wanted to focus specifically on the coordination. The system provides, the first thing that you need to do as a person is to give the openings, what kind of openings we have, what kind of patients we are looking for a caregiver for, and the system automatically outreaches to those caregivers that are relevant, and that's the important part, and also recommends who we should choose according to different elements, if it's capabilities, certifications, history. So all those things are coming into light, and in the end, the system gives recommendations. And again, of course, the logic behind augmented intelligence here, that according to the selection or non-selection, basically we are empowering or discouraging the model from certain things. The last example that I want to show is from an amazing company called Gong. Gong is also an Israeli company that developed an entire platform for sales teams. And you will say, well, okay, what sales teams need? What CRM? So basically, it is a smart CRM, which means that it tracks and recommends different actions. So if you can see here, again, I don't know if you see my mouse, but you have deal warnings, okay? So you have all kind of recommendations. First of all, in terms of what kind of actions you need to do in order to close a deal. You have recommendations of what kind of clients need a better treatment, or you have recommendations during a call that gives you insights about the amount of time you talk with them and what actually causes the closing and so on. Basically, it's a platform that gives you the tools to close more deals, and they are focusing specifically in the world of voice, of calling. They raised a lot of money and they're very successful. And this is like, for me, it's a great example of augmented intelligence, where it supports basically the human sales teams, empowering them and gives them more information to make better decisions. So how the process looks like. So I guess that you saw a lot of similarities between the things, but I want to describe the process. So as you can see, our starting point is the data. So we have historic data, we have some experience that we already have. That's our starting point. In the middle, we have the human, right? The human is basically the most important player. The humans are still in the center. They are making the final decision. They are bringing input, and in the end, they have interactions in some form with all sides. So you can see that the human continues to interact with the data over and over again. The data enriched with human, of course, teaches and saves. And on the other side, the human also gives more and more data as part of the process. On the other side, the AI interacts with the human and gives insights to the human, gives some value. This human, by the way, according to the value that gets from the AI, enriches again the data. And as you can see, the data is, of course, the brain enriches again and again in the AI as it progresses. Of course, we create more and more data, the more value the AI gives, or the more adaptations the AI predicts or creates. And in the end, we have better AI, we have a more professional process, we have a better process, and that's really the heart of augmented intelligence. The human is in the middle, the human is in the heart, but we have the artificial intelligence and information/data that really supports the process. I will come to an end, and I will end with a saying. The base assumption for artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence is intelligence. So one of the most important things that we say to any company that we're working with, it doesn't matter what kind of project it is, what kind of product, if it's one of our own products or we are developing something for them, we always assume that intelligence is part of it, which means you can have the most sophisticated, the most laborious, the most attractive and creative augmented intelligence or artificial intelligence, and still, if you're not working with it intelligently and you planned it intelligently according to your business cases, according to the result that you actually wanted, it doesn't worth a thing. And that's an important thing to remember. We're going to stop here. Thank you very much. My name is Lior Romanowsky. You are you, and that was Augmented Intelligence.